Hi Libra, welcome to your month ahead taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. With that said, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the website address below. And before we start, as always, I would like to bless all of my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, as you can see, there is yet another change. Lots and lots of exciting stuff happening for Reydiant Reality this year. I promised that I would start doing things differently, introducing you to new things, and I'm really glad that you guys are loving it. So please keep me in the loop, keep me in the know. If you love it, if you loathe it, please let me know. With that said, I'm going to launch straight into it. What do you see that is different this month? And from here on in, you are getting full moon and new moon astrology as well as your tarot reading. So for your full moon, Libra, this is taking place on the Virgo full moon is taking place on the 9th of March, and this is taking place in your 12th house. Now, for me, whenever I see a full moon in the 12th house, right, a full moon is a culmination, it's a completion, it's an ending. And I say this for every sign so that everybody gets a clear understanding of what I'm talking about. Yes, it's a completion, yes, it's an ending, but it's also a new beginning. It's the beginning of something. And I'll give you a really good example. When a woman carries full term and she's pregnant and she reaches the full end of her cycle, she's at the full moon. Once she gives birth, although that is the end of the pregnancy, it's the beginning of the child's life. It's the end of motherhood, so to speak, and the beginning of parenthood, if that makes any sense. So in a sense, yes, it's a completion and a culmination, but it's a peak experience that then kind of gives its blessings and its bounties from there on in. So this is taking place in your 12th house. Your 12th house is all about the depths of who you are. It's your the innermost part of your soul, the psyche. It's the subconscious aspect of yourself. It also represents the house of charity. It's also the house of it can be the house of really difficult stuff as well. It can also be your store closet. It's the part of you that is kind of behind closed doors that you don't necessarily share with anybody, and it's also about your past. So whenever I see a full moon in this sector for anybody, it's like shining a light into the depths of your closet or into the depths of the pool of your subconscious to say, right, what is in here and what needs to now see the light of day? What is it that we can highlight so that we effectively, by shedding light into that area, when you bring light to the darkest reaches of anything, that's when you find growth, it's when you find enlightenment. And this is putting a spotlight in your 12th house. And because it's kind of doing that, it may be saying to you, what are your past fears? What are your past hurts? What are your past hopes and dreams? And how do you bring those up to the surface so that they can either be lived or released? How is it that you can find a way to move beyond these things now? So I got my trusty notes here. Your baggage, deepest self, I've said all of that. The beauty of this aspect is that it allows you to release and rise above them, right? Which is, basically what I've just said. This moon is also trying your 4th house. So something about your family and your heritage could come up for observation. How comfortable do you feel in your own skin? How comfortable do you feel with the history that you have, with the familial background that you have? And because it's a trine energy, this is an easy energy. It's a harmonious energy. So something about your past could be addressed. Something about your past could come up. It might be that an older family member, possibly a mother or a grandmother or somebody of that nature, could come and decide to assist you or help you in some way, shape or form. Doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of finance, but it could be in any way. It could just be that you're having a conversation about things from your past that really affected you, and now you're finally hearing the explanation or maybe the explanation or even the apology that you felt you never got but always needed. And in this way, this moon can be deeply cathartic. Remember, Virgo rules the digestive system, so this could really be a purging or a detoxing in some way, which is absolutely beautiful energy to work with because it's really cleansing in the long run. So even if this is just from spirit or from somebody that has passed, because in the 12th house we see the other world, right? Well, that's what I call it anyway. In the 12th house, this is the realm of spirit, so to speak. So the stress point that this moon is under is from the 8th house, with Venus and Uranus conjunct in the 8th. Some past hurts or fears or wounds could come up at this point, and this is a time for you to be really gentle with yourself, because the 8th house and the 12th house and the 4th house, these are our real sensitive points. You know, these are points that you don't necessarily want anybody to see, and they're not necessarily points where you can be weak, but they are points of vulnerability. They are points that could, you know, if they're pressed or poked too vigorously, or, you know, exposed too vigorously, they can be really hurtful and really painful. So if you're dealing with any of those things in those topics or in those places, be really gentle with yourself at this moment in time. Take your time to work through it. Be present in your Virgo, be present in your physical self, in your physical body, and feel where you might be holding or storing any of this tension, or whatever those wounds feel like. Where is it that they're coming in, or where is it that they're sitting in your physical self? This is really, really important to look at. Okay, so it's a time for deep introspection that will allow transmutation, and it'll also need to be, you know, will allow things to be looked at. This could also see you discovering where it is that you might feel or have felt powerless in some way, shape or form. It really is a time for you to be really kind and loving with yourself. So with Venus conjunct Uranus trine the South Node, this could be a grand release that frees up a lot of internal space. If you do the work, it could be very healing, very, very healing indeed. It's a time of deep soul work, Libra, and do it well, and the rewards in the long run could be absolutely phenomenal. So on the other end of this, on the 23rd of March, we've got the new moon in Aries. New moons are totally different because they're initiation points. This is where you plant seeds for new things, welcome new things in. It's where you're doing new things. Now remember, with everything in astrology, it's very rarely just an event. It's something that shapes up over time. It's something that unfolds or unpacks. And I kind of see like the eclipses, the new moons, the full moons. It's kind of like the universe gives you a toolbox, right? And says, right, here you go, unpack this over the next few weeks, and then over the next few months, you're going to start to see how these things become relevant, or how they can be used or even show up in your life. So you see, this new moon is taking place in your 7th house in Aries, right across the zodiac, the house of other people, your partners, your collaborators, your work colleagues, you know, friends, all of that. Well, yeah, I mean, the 11th house is friends, but the 7th house can also be friends as well. It can even be your competitors in some way, shape or form. So what I've got here is your relationships will be getting a do-over, right? And like I said, yeah, it's not an event. It might mean that you start to consider relationships in a different way, or see your main relationship in a way that starts to differ from what you're used to. So you could be wanting to change your current relationship in some way, make it more vibrant, make it more dynamic, maybe make it more open in some way, shape or form. That doesn't necessarily mean an open relationship. It just means opening the relationship up for new stimulus, new things to come in. Remember, this is a new moon in Aries, so it wants new things. It wants pioneering energy to be welcomed into this sector. As this is your opposite sign, it's the sign of the other, the not self. This can be partners, lovers, it can be platonic, it can be business partners. It is square to both of the south and the north nodes, so you could be asked to consider your partnerships and how they've cost you in your career some way, how they might have got in the way of your career in some way. Whilst square in the south node, it will be asking you to consider what in terms of your home and your family matters will need to be released. So again, there's this 4th house aspect sort of going on. Now, and then also you've got a trine with Venus and the Capricorn planets, which is Mars, Jupiter and Pluto. And this is a balance kind of going on between your 8th and 4th houses again. This could see some kind of inheritance coming in. Could also see some sort of financial support, maybe just support in general from family or loved ones, or maybe you're able to address some of the past hurts from familial connections, which is a really beautiful energy, because when we can address some of those things, that's when we truly are able to let them go. That's when we really are able to let them rest, because it is the 8th house we're talking about here as well, and the 4th. Your 8th can be quite sort of contentious, so this could bring up, like, you know, some of the taboo subjects, some of the things that we never talked about, or some of the things that I never got the answers from, and you could be really sort of, you know, gung-ho about sort of having these answers. One thing that I will say to you is, you know, whenever we dig around in the past, sometimes we find answers that may very well hurt us, and that is just the truth of it. That's the truth for all of us. However, if you're willing to do the work, to have the conversations, to open up the dialogue, and just be present and allow yourself to feel it, you could really find yourself able to transcend it. And that is ultimately the whole purpose behind all of this, isn't it? Right? So with that said, it might also see something to do with an estate, property being property being discussed. So maybe the family home or something of that nature. So let's have a look at your cards. What's going on for the month ahead for your actions and interactions with the world at large? You have the Judgment card, right? So big shifts, big changes on a really deep, very soul-felt personal level, right? Your Judgment card always brings things up from the depths, from the past. I mean, look at this. You saw me shuffle the cards. How much, you know, does that sort of really tie in with just your full moon and new moon without any of your other astrology? This is amazing. Your Judgment card brings things up from the depths. It brings things back from the past. It brings things up to be looked at so that they can be assimilated, processed and assimilated, and then finally released and let go. And you're really proactive about this month, because your Judgment card falls in your actions and interactions. This is what you're doing. It's what you're choosing to embark on. It's what you're saying, yes, I'm going to commit myself to making that happen, or I'm going to make sure that this is a part of the path that I take in order to move forward. Beautiful energy. I mean, really beautiful. And you know, the beauty of the Judgment card is very cathartic. It allows you to really purge the stuff that you need to let go of. For your money and materials, you've got the Queen of Wands. So again, you know, echoing this whole astrology thing. Look, how amazing is that, right? Your Queen of Wands is basically saying that this month you're laying firm foundations and boundaries when it comes to your money, when it comes to your materials. You could be getting support from a family member, from a colleague, from somebody out there in the world. Now, your Queen of Wands would usually be a fire sign female. This could be an Aries, a Sagittarius, or a Leo. Because it falls right next to the Judgment card, this is very likely to be somebody that's either a Scorpio or a Sagittarius. Not sure why, but those are, well, I am sure why, you know what I mean. But yeah, your money and materials looks good. You could be very proactive about making more money this month, about being sure and clear about what your assets are, what your resources are. Maybe this month you're made aware of monies or benefits or blessings of some sort that are coming to you that you didn't know were coming to you. And these could be coming through a family member or some kind of legacy, which is really, really interesting. But with that Queen of Wands, yeah, I mean, very, very proactive about your finances this month. You're really in the zone when it comes to making more money, when it comes to solidifying the assets that you have as well, which is great. So your communications and conversations, you've got the 10 of Wands. I mean, look at this, is phenomenal to me. I'm mind blown right now myself, you know, just because this is the first time I've done things like this, and it's just crazy how it all mirrors each other. Your 10 of Wands, right, in your communication sector, this is all about your, the 10 of Wands is the release of burdens. It's getting something off your chest. It's finally being able to put that weight down, to take the bag of bricks off your shoulders while you go swimming, right? And this is in your communication. So this is how you're speaking. It's about you, right next to the Queen of Wands. This is about you speaking up. It's about you releasing your burdens. It's about you really saying to yourself, how has this or this person or this connection or this aspect of myself or my past held me back. How am I now ready to put this down? I see the Ten of Wands as, you know, like the stick theory. If you spend your whole life being beaten with a stick and then that person puts it down, you then come and pick it up and start hitting yourself because you're so used to it. You don't know who you are without it. The Ten of Wands is where you put that stick down and say, right, I'm not playing in that place anymore. I'm ready to leave all of this behind. Beautiful energy. It does suggest that you are able to have the difficult conversations this month. It suggests also that you're, you know, because Libra wants the balance and the harmony. It likes to mediate. It likes to make sure that everybody is heard. This month, you're making sure that you're heard, right? This is the month where you say to yourself, right, okay, you know what? I give credence, time, energy, you know, support to everybody else. Now it's time for me to give myself these things. Now it's time for me to allow myself to be heard and to voice some of the opinions or the feelings that I have and find ways of how to move beyond them or not allow them to rule me anymore. Brilliant, really, really brilliant. And then for your heart and half, you've got the Wheel of Fortune, blessings, luck, abundance, but it's also being in the right place at the right time. For those of you that are single, this could be instantaneous. It's kind of like once you let go of some of this sort of past baggage and hurt, you could find that straight away love, offers, interests, opportunities start just showing up for you and you're like, hang on a sec. There's been nothing for months, for, you know, maybe even years for some of you, and now all of a sudden they're like buses, they're all turning up at once. What's going on? When you free up internal space, when you free up the space within you to really allow your true authentic self to come through, you naturally attract what and who is right for you. For those of you that are partnered, this looks like the chance or the opportunity for you and a partner to travel, maybe for you guys to improve your finances in some way, shape or form, and possibly even your home front. It does look really, really nice. Now, another thing that I'm seeing here is the Wheel of Fortune is the number 10 and it falls right next to the number 10. There is a grand culmination or completion coming when it comes to your either for your familial life, your personal life, but definitely in your communications. It may even be that some of you decide to speak up at work. Maybe you really decide to sort of say to the boss or the superiors, look, you know what, I give and I give and I give, and now it's time for me to get. And if I don't get, the consequence will be me either walking away or doing something that is more aligned to who I am. All right. So your first week of the month, you have the Fool card, new things, new places, new people. But in order to reach these new things, new places, new people and stimuli, you're going to have to go through this process of the purge, of the release, of the letting go. Now, what I love most about this Fool card as well, because it falls with the Judgment card, this is like an alpha omega moment. It's like an A to Z moment. I mean, yes, the Judgment card is the penultimate last card of the penultimate card of the major arcana, but there is a feeling of from your mouth to God's ears, or from God's ears to your mouth. Do you know what I mean? Like something of that sort of nature, almost like a full circle moment. There's a fated moment here as well that could very well possibly, you know, it could possibly bring you a moment or an event or even just a conversation that has you say, wow, you know what? All these years I carried that or held on to that or thought that. And now this conversation, this moment has made me understand what it is that I need to release or what it is that I need to say goodbye to, or maybe even who. Really, really powerful. Your second week of the month, you've got the High Priestess, right? Hidden things revealed, hidden monies revealed, hidden support coming through, maybe benefits and blessings from people that you didn't even think that were actually for you. The money looks good this month. It looks like something that you may not have been privy to, or some sort of hidden money, some sort of secret money, maybe a secret bank account that someone started for you when you were younger, maybe something that you've inherited from an old, you know, aunt or uncle or somebody that you never knew about, could really make its way here. When it comes to your financial movements this month, really do trust your gut. Really, you know, if your gut says to move on something, go for it. If it says not to move on something, don't go for it. When it comes to the High Priestess underneath the Queen of Wands as well, you could be getting really sort of prominent messages to move in a specific direction when it comes to the finances. So really pay attention this month. Your third week of the month, you've got the Justice card. This is you, right? Speaking your truth, right? Really owning yourself, owning your power, and deciding what you will and what you won't accept any longer. And it really is, for me, this is about you committing yourself to being yourself, but ultimately committing yourself to having a better life, committing yourself to having the kind of life that you truly want, committing yourself to really being who you are and saying, look, you know what, I've given enough. It's now time for me to focus on myself, and it's now time for me to free myself of all of the things that I know have held me back. You know, it's like one of those moments where you kind of might be looking at your life and saying, right, this is how I got in my own way, and this is how I'm going to get out of my own way. For your fourth week of the month, you've got the Tower card. Sudden unexpected blessings, sudden unexpected moments of release, maybe sudden unexpected moments. I mean, for some of you, you could be meeting somebody in a stressful situation, or maybe somebody that just gets on your tits. Do you know what I mean? That's a British saying that we have, like that. Well, that person gets on my tits, or that person gets on my. Yeah. Anyway. This could be somebody that is a real point of contention. For those of you that are single, you could really think to yourself, do you know what, I really can't stand this person, like, just go away. You know, and through that sort of opposites attract, or, you know, we annoy the shit out of each other, you could discover that actually you're really attracted to each other. And also, because it comes underneath the Wheel of Fortune, it may be that you have more in common with this person than you care to admit, or than you realized in the first place. For those of you that are partnered, again, sudden unexpected blessings, but also it looks like something about your partnership or your relationship is about to change, and this could be a very good thing. It could be very surprising. Maybe it's surprising to you what it is that you want, or maybe it's surprising to a partner what they want, or how you see yourself proceeding. You know, there's lots of ways a relationship can evolve, lots of ways, and my kudos goes to the couples that can do that, that can say, look, you know what, something about us needs to change. I want to stay with you, but we're going to have to figure out what we can do to keep us together, you know. So your key to the month is the Empress. Abundance abounds, providing you are ready, willing, and able to do the work. This could be a really beautiful month for you. There are some big changes coming on the home front. There are some big changes coming on the internal front, and it does look like you're seeking the beauty, the pleasure, and the peace of life. But what is really evident to me, especially through your cards, you understand on a deep level that you're going to have to do the work in order for any of this stuff to happen. Now, just quickly before I go, your bottom line is basically all air, right? Apart from your High Priestess. Your top line is basically all fire. Because apart from the Judgment card, which in a way can be Sagittarian as well. So there's a lot of fire and air here, right? Justice, air. The Tower, Uranus, air. The Fool card, the other side of Uranus, air. Lots of air here, right, with this little tiny bit of earth and water. So it's definitely balanced, but, you know, you've got more fire and more air going on here. These are complementary elements. Fire feeds air, air feeds fire. They thrive off of each other. But remember, when fire goes unchecked, it can be wild and out of control. So just find ways to channel and focus your energies this month. But providing you're present and you do the work, you could really tap into something truly special. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic month. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.